All right, good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's 8 o'clock, so we have to get working. Welcome, everybody. I call to order the finance meeting for Tuesday, August 26th, 2025. Can I get a roll call, please?
Member Cahill. Member Childress.
Yes.
Member Covert. Member Desart. Member Eckhoff. Member Evans. Member Galassi. Member Garcia.
Here.
Member Heather. Member Honig. Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante. Member Ozag. Member Rutledge. Member Schwarzy. Member Tornatori. Member Yu.
Here.
Member Zay.
Okay. I know we got a couple more members coming. There's an accident, I think, on Roosevelt. So yeah. Thank you for your comments, members A. Is there any public comment today? No public comment for this meeting. I'm going to move on to Chairwoman's remarks. Okay, as this board is aware, the fiscal year 26 budget submissions were due on June 27th. Nothing was received from the county clerk. On July 1st, the clerk sent their version of a budget to the county board office rather than submitting it through OpenGov as instructed. Their submission was a combination of the clerk's general fund budgets with 3 tabs only, entitled Equipment, Materials, and Services, which does not comply with the county's code, as the 18th Judicial Circuit Court confirmed yesterday. Items and prices were listed, but without account numbers, backup documentation, supporting explanations, or revenue or expense budgets. Additionally, we invited Clerk Kazmarek or a representative from her office to attend today's meeting to present her office's budget to her, per request to this board. On Monday afternoon, Clerk Kazmarek informed us that no one from her office would be attending today's meeting, making her the only elected official that has refused to come before this board. Under the direction of Chair Conroy and the finance team, Vice Chair Cahill, and I will work to formulate an appropriate budget for these various accounting units, since insufficient information was submitted by the county clerk for the budget. So, moving on, all I can say at this point in time. Can I get an approval of the minutes for 25-1988 Finance Committee regular meeting Tuesday, August 12th, 2025? We've got a motion by Member Honig, second by Member Childress. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to budget transfers. May I get a motion to approve 25-2036 transfer of funds from overtime and employer share Social Security to employer share IMRF in the amount of $6,920 to cover unbudgeted amounts in employee benefits. This is for the recorder and the GIS. Got a motion by Member Childress, second by Member Heather. My brain, sorry. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on, may I get a motion to approve 25-2037 transfer of funds from a part-time help to employer share IMRF, Social Security, share Social Security, employee medical and hospital insurance and benefit payments in the amount of $10,750 to cover for unbudgeted cost of employee benefits, also for the recorder, document storage. We've got a motion by Member Yu, I believe, second by Member Heather. Say, you choose. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. May I get a motion to approve 25-2047 transfer of funds from general fund contingencies to equipment small value IT equipment in the amount of $364,300 for laptops and UPS backup power supply to reduce the fiscal year 2026 budget expense. Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Yu. All those, any discussion on this? Member Yu.
I just have a quick question. Do we do this last year as well to reduce the general fund or the FY 2025 budget expense? And was this already reflected in our IT budget that was presented in the IT committee? I just wanted to make sure.
We'll bring the entire team up. Yes, we did the same thing last year. What we do is when we get the budget requests and once certain expenditures are verified that they're needed, next when you have jury seating, we verify it. We will take some of those capital improvements out in the contingency so that they're not in the 26 budget.
Okay,
They're one-time expenses, so that's why we can do it.
right. Thank you. And so was this already reflected in our budget that was presented on last Tuesday or no?
So this expenditure was in the 26, their 26
Right.
proposal, and we've worked
Now
with
it's right.
them and so it'll be reduced accordingly.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion on this? Member Krajewski?
How much do we have in the contingency fund that was set in there? Cause that's kind of how we balanced the budget last year.
A little bit over 4 million right now.
So there's 4 million left, so we're gonna have to go through some kind of,
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at what capital expenditures are in
not
26
position that we're
budget.
gonna have the problem again with the surplus, so.
I don't know where the problem, but yes, we will have surplus.
We're gonna come to the end of I don't wanna come to the end of November again, and then all of a sudden you're gonna throw 20 things on the board and say which ones you wanna do. We should start as a board talking about, well, we're gonna have some money left over here. We gotta do something with it or it falls back into the reserves again. To do that too, yeah. But it's still a small dollar amount, but we should start that discussion sooner than later. We know we're on a trend to have the same problem. And then I remember we always sit here at the end of the November 30th and put some here, put some there, put some there, but board members may have some different ideas. I would suggest we talk about.
We are having if I can break in, we are having discussions in our meetings, much like you and the past chair of finance also did last year. So we're getting together. We will bring those to the board as soon as we can.
Yeah,
get
when we say who's we? Cause I don't remember.
Vice Chair
Oh, okay.
Cahill,
You guys are-
myself.
Okay, but yeah, I would think it's something
Chair.
to bring it towards up to us, because I mean, I know these are ones coming through from the budget that people are submitting that we're paying, but we got 4 million more to deal with plus the surplus.
And I will tell you, just to telegraph it, at the next board meeting, you heard from various departments that they need new radios, Sheriff's Department being one of them. We're working with Linda Zerwin, and that will likely come out of contingency so that that's not in the 26 budget as well. That's at the next meeting.
So we were waiting for the presentations to happen and then we'll be bringing it back to the board.
And I know, remember Schwarzy talks about the food insecurity. Is that something where we work with Northern Illinois Food Bank where you could give them money in this fiscal year for following year?
And what you're talking about, I mean, the chair is taking all that consideration as part of her budget presentation. That's absolutely part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Member to start.
Thank you. I couldn't hear member use the question, but so this may have been similar from the little bit I did hear, but so we're moving this back to 2025 to reduce the 2026 expenditure, but was it in the 2025 budget? I'm assuming that it wasn't. And if it's not, if we over budget a department, shouldn't the annual over budget go back into the general fund?
So this was not in the 25 budget. This was a request for the 26 budget.
Right.
That was presented to this committee or their parent committee. And so as you recall, total requests came in at 34 million over
I'm sorry, what request? I didn't
the
hear.
total requests from all the departments were 34 million over. So there were a lot of cuts. There will be a lot of cuts from that. But some of those we were able to take care of in the 25 in our contingency. Everything you're seeing here, as well as the radios and any other ones we move forward with, we have determined are absolutely needed, required, and we're moving them forward. And they're one time. We're able to do this because they're one-time expenses like the radios. We can expend the money, it's one time. For the jury seating, it's one time. For the laptops, it's one time. So we can then reduce the 26 budget accordingly.
Thank you. And since you brought it up, 7A1, the jury seating, was that in the 2025 budget or not?
26 budget.
26, so we're
26.
moving back to 25. All right, thank you so much.
All right, any other discussions? Member Krajewski.
With regards to laptops, what do you guys do with the old ones? We're getting $300,000 worth of. Still got mine from 8 years.
Yeah, so generally the ones that are older end up being recycled and the drives wiped clean so that we don't lose any data. But usually by the time we're going through a 5-year life cycle, through the 5 years, the equipment's not really worth anything. So
Okay. Are any of those available for low income, other people to use if they're computers? We just destroy them? Then?
well, we
Like-
end up turning them into a recycling vendor
We just
and
throw
then
it,
they
okay.
take care of it.
All right. Thank you.
Any other discussion on this? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. May I get a motion to approve 25-2047 transfer of funds from general fund contingencies to infrastructure in the amount of $130,000 for replacement of worn jury seating in 4 courtrooms to relieve pressures for the fiscal year 2026 budget? Motion by member Honig, second by member Yu. Any discussion on this item? Members A?
Yeah, we have 2 of these today. Why aren't they together all on one? Why do we have to do them in 2?
Jennifer's gonna come back up with the answer.
We're moving it from the general fund contingencies into the transfer out to the infrastructure fund and moving the money into the infrastructure fund, but there is no furniture line in the infrastructure fund, so we have to do a budget transfer then from infrastructure contingencies into the furniture line.
Okay.
So that we can pay the bill when it comes.
Okay, we did this to courtrooms prior. I mean, I like the courthouse over there, but I think we've spent tens of millions of dollars over there doing stuff. I mean, is this the end of doing the courtrooms at this point? Will we have start redone all of them?
I think we're on a rotation to redo.
So this
And it
is
seems kind of pricey, 130,000 for
It-
4
it-
courtrooms for,
this is
the
the
county has wooden benches, so.
this is, they're not wooden benches. This is the jury seating, the kind of arena seating in there. They have it, it's 4 courtrooms. So it's the jury seating for each of the 4. So there's, several, 12, 15 seats or whatever in 4 courtrooms.
Didn't we
There will be more in the
Didn't we
future.
replace a bunch of these prior?
Yeah, we have, and we're slowly going through and doing that. I mean, we're in good shape, but there will be future ones. If it's next year, the year after, there will be at some point, without a doubt. The wear and tear on those seats is tremendous.
Member Desart?
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm, following up on all of these items. If they were in the 2026 budget, which has not been approved yet, shouldn't we wait for that budget to be approved before we say, oh, we've got money left over in the 2025 budget?
So like I said, the 2026 budget, we're the chair of finance, vice chair, we're dealing with a $34 million excess request versus what's available in revenue. And so we're looking at the 26 budget, what can be reduced out of there, what can be done ahead of time that must be done. And capital is the only thing. So we're looking at what one-time expenses can we pull out that are absolutely needed that we can do now. And that's why you have these in front of you.
I see.
That's why we're going to be moving the radios at the next one. We know they have to be replaced. We know it's a pressure on 26 budget. We take care of it now, no longer a pressure on 26.
I
budget.
see, but the board hasn't approved these items because they're in the 2026 budget. And just a side question is, how often do we replace all of the seating in the courtrooms? And then moving on, so I don't have to raise my hand again, the new tables and chairs for the conference rooms in the supervisor of assessments. How often do we replace these things?
So
What is the wear and tear?
unlike laptops, it's like a 5-year cycle. There is absolutely, we look at condition, we will reupholster, we'll do all that. And when we can't do that anymore, we will replace it. So we push it as long as we can.
Okay,
There's no we're going to replace these every 5-10 years. Some of these are original to the building. So we will push it as far as we can.
yeah, I'm not trying to be divisive. I'm just trying to understand about how we can approve these things that were in the 2026 budget that has not been approved, and we're kicking it back to 2025, which our budget was approved in November of 2024.
It-
How does that work?
what you're doing is you are approving the expenditure or the transferring the money. At another point down the line, there will be purchase orders that go on agendas to approve the purchase, but this is putting the money in place to handle those purchases.
All right, thanks, Nick.
Okay, member, no, okay, member Krajewski?
Yeah, two things. I think we approved in last year's budget like 7-8 million in contingencies that for anything that comes up. that
Yeah.
We don't spend it, we got a bunch of money, but we're spending it on various things that comes along. But did they have any schedule on the replacement of this type of stuff? Or is it just like you just said, when it's worn, like they don't say like every 5 years or 8 years or 10 years? So do we have an idea going forward what's coming up?
I mean, I'm gonna defer to Tim here, but I will tell you that we're not necessarily behind, but I think your team does a great job at.
I do believe this is original to the courthouse. We do try and extend the life of this stuff as far as we can. As Nick said, we did try and replace some components, the chairs and the backs, and that did not have the longevity that we wanted. But this, it sounds funny, the courtrooms are generally used twice a day. This does get heavy abuse from it. It's not, would be more abusive than say movie
So is
theater.
this facilities decision that these things need to be replaced, or is this the chief judge?
We work in harmony with them. They will make recommendations to us. We'll do an evaluation on it. If we believe it needs to be replaced, we'll bring it to you. If we believe we can get more life, we'll work with them. We'll try and get more life out of those pieces.
Do they have any long-term? Like, here's what
We-
needs to be replaced?
we,
28, 29, 30?
The reason I haven't done that is because we try and extend these components as long as we can. It sounds funny. I found if I have it on a list and says it's doing 28, it's challenging for me to extend it to 30. So we try and do these on an annual basis, or we look about 2 years out.
For the courthouse or for everything in the buildings here, all our buildings?
All of them.
So all the buildings, we're just looking 2 years out? or-
Yeah, correct. And we try and component, it's affectionately oftentimes also called the food chain. Sometimes we'll take one from a higher use and move it into a lower unit so we can get use out of it. We store a lot of this furniture and pieces, and then we'll find a spot where we can use it, where we'll fit in, where it's, for example, maybe like a new conference room that is only used sporadically. We'll try and use the furniture places like that.
Thank you.
Okay, member Zay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If we need it, we need it. I'm concerned I agree with my board member to start. We've never done it like this before. The 26 budget hasn't been even approved yet. We usually get a list, like Member Krajewski said, here's our pressures on next year, and there's some input on this. The input's been taken out of the board's hand. It's just being approved for the 26 budget. Like Member to start said, we haven't even seen the chair's 26 budget yet. So this is premature. This shouldn't be until after the budget. And when we find out how much money we have left in contingencies, this decision's already being made for us without board input, which has never been done before. I mean, usually we get contingency and we say, hey, we have this much prior that we've put down the line for future stuff where this board sits here and goes, yes, no, we need it. Stormwater gets this, the courtrooms get this. This time it's just, I understand 26 budget, but again, these decisions are being made without really input of the board at this time.
There has been expenditures already out of the contingency for 25, but you're correct. I mean, these are expenditures in 26. We've identified that. I mean, like I said, the jury seating, the radios. I mean, they are needed. I guess as far as input, the question would be if we put them in a 26 budget, which we absolutely can. We have to reduce in other areas. We're trying to figure out how to take pressure off of it so that we can balance the budget. That was a discussion we've had in our meetings with the chair and vice chair and the chair of the board. And that the components we're looking at are the IT, the laptops, the UPS, the jury seating, and the radios at this point.
How
And
much is the radio?
radios are expensive. Radios are expensive, and
Well,
that
yeah,
was
now
part
we're
of the.
talking over $1 million with no input from this board.
Well,
I mean,
keep in
I
mind
think
the-
that's what our concern is that we're not giving this, and if it needs to be done, it needs to be done, but there should be some input and some prior acknowledgement to us saying this needs to be done. Here's what we want to take out of the relieve the 26 budget. And Nick, I've been here long enough. We go every year. There's tens and twenties of millions of dollars requested than what comes in than what we have in the budget.
Absolutely.
So it's nothing new, and we have these pressures every year, and that's this board's decision and the chair's decision how to split that up and who gets what and who doesn't get what.
And the surplus we're talking about, there will be a surplus discussion. There's no doubt. I mean, member Kaczewski's correct because the revenue we've seen that from the sales tax, we know there will be. But this, as far as these expenditures, we're trying to, before the chair makes the address in September, we're trying to take these obligations out. You heard about the radios from the sheriff when they presented at their budget in JPS as the obligation. If we don't want to move forward with radios, that's fine, but that would be an additional $1.8 million pressure on 2026. So, I
So
mean,
now we're talking over $2 million. I mean,
Not
you know,
quite.
we've had tens of millions of dollars in surplus. And, you know, at some point, where do we give relief to our taxpayers? Instead of just spend, we've got extra money. One year, when I brought it up, we abated $5 million. But we've had tens of millions of dollars in surplus. That's not really our money, it's our taxpayers' money. When do we talk about giving any of them relief?
and that's absolutely, I mean, if we don't want to move forward with the radio replacement and sheriff, I mean, that's a decision the board makes. But we're bringing options to relieve pressure. I mean, those are, I mean, from the jury seating, from the laptops, from the you know, the radios, the board can, you guys can vote no. I mean,
And I
we're
don't
trying to-
disagree with it, but it shouldn't have been on the agenda. There should have been a discussion of new laptops, jury duty, jury seating, and the sheriff's radios. Should have been discussion prior, and then on the next agenda, then this should have came forward. The board should have been in those discussions, just not put it on the agenda and say, we're taking relief off the 26 budget. There should have been prior discussion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and let me add something, you know, I've been on here since 2020, not as long as you, members A. Thank you. We've had CARES money, then we had ARPA money, and now we've got some issues in the federal government right now where our community services might not be funded, our whole department. So this is something that we have to be concerned about. So I think that why we're being proactive on this and bringing things earlier than after the budget is presented is because we know that these are issues happening and we have to be cognizant of it. So that's just something I want to add to that. So yes, we want to be very fiscally responsible to our taxpayers, but we also have to be aware that we have to be good government too. So it's a balance act.
Can I
Member
just,
Ozog.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You just used the word that I was going to use. I see this as being proactive, and anyone who doesn't care to buy the chairs or what have you today can just vote no. But I think that when you're looking at 34 million in excess request, you have an awful lot of cutting to do, et cetera. So I think that what you're doing here is appropriate, and that's really not our job to decide numbers of chairs, et cetera. It's our job to approve those sorts of expenditures. But I see what you're doing here today as totally appropriate. Thank you.
Member Honig.
Thank you, Chair. And correct me if I'm wrong, like these are more rudimentary things that you're just proactively foreseeing as opposed to when the chair comes in with her budget. That's when we have the discussions like we did last year about where we allocate certain projects and the priorities of the projects. It's just different, correct?
This is an operational need. I mean, the radios, that's a big expenditure. I mean, that discussion can be had whether we do that, but the chairs are the chairs. I mean, I mean, we're going to have to replace the chairs. I know that that's coming. The laptops every 5 years, we have to replace X amount. And that's why that it's here. I mean,
Right.
to Member Zay's point, I completely agree. I mean, it's having a discussion. I mean, we're having it now. And
Yeah.
if you guys want, we can pull this off and we can do it in 2 weeks, whatever the preference of the board would be.
Right, and I'm not even disagreeing with members A. I think just me talking about the radios, that is something that is crucial to our county, and we talk about taxpayers too. That's something that is important to them because this is fundamental public safety. And there's been a lot of things that have gone into the process of getting new radios, tuning them. You know, everything that goes into that is difficult. So if they're the need that the public safety individuals need, I think that is an important thing that we need to, vote on. And again, I think this is a good proactive step to take away some alleviation of next year's budget. But again, that's where I stand. So thank you,
Thank you,
Chair.
Member Honig. Member Krajewski.
Yeah, again, I think, remember to his point, we're just flying blind here. I mean, we're getting these three things to approve. Yes, they're probably needed. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that's needed, and we're gonna come back in another month. You probably have a couple more and a couple more next month, where we should have a general discussion of what are all the ones that we can do? How much money do we have right now in contingencies? What's our projected surplus? And then let the board decide. I mean, month, 3 months from now, when we're getting ready to do all that, we're gonna say, oh geez, maybe this is more important out here, but we just spent 2 million 3 months ago. But you know, we don't know what's coming down the pike or which ones are important, which ones aren't. We're just giving these three, yes, they're needed. And then we'll be told next month there's another 3 or 4 that need to be needed. I'd like to know what everything is that they needed, how much we have, and then decide priority wise what this board feels is important. Like I said, maybe it's food insecurity or roads. So we may have cuts there. Maybe that's where it should go instead of over here. But we're not having those discussions. We're just basically saying, we know we got money. We're taking this off of 24. It helps. Yes, it'll help 24 or 26. That'll be some of the cuts. But you know, what else is out there? And those are the discussions we should be having. And we can do these at any time, right? I mean,
Well,
between now and November, it can be done at any point, right? We can approve the laptops, we can approve the chairs.
so here's a concern.
2 months from now.
If we don't solve these now, we can absolutely not vote on them. The chair will then put that in her budget for 2 million, and so there will be 2 million less than for other areas. So that's why the decision process before the budget, it helps then with the budget process. I mean, we can absolutely, it doesn't get approved, then we've got to figure out how to cut 2 million in other areas.
Remember to start?
Thank you. I totally agree with my backseat my back row colleagues in that it's our job as a board to prioritize things. And we didn't have that opportunity this time. And, as the finance chair said, community services might be cut completely because of the federal government, and we still have people to feed. We still have food insecurity. And some of the things, I mean, if you were to ask me, I would say the radios are necessary for public safety, but perhaps we'd rather use, say, the money for the new seating for those who are food insecure in our community. I'm just saying that I agree with my colleagues that we really should have the opportunity to prioritize. Thank you.
And just so we're clear, you can vote no on this and prioritize in that respect. So if that's how you want to do that, that's fine. That's something you can do on this day, which Nick has said.
What's coming down?
Okay, Member Eckhoff.
I guess I'm trying to figure out, if we don't spend the money today, it doesn't evaporate, right?
No, it's part of the contingency.
Right.
The difference is being able to, for when the chair presents her budget in a month, then these obligations are taken care of, and we will have to go back and figure out how to balance the 2 million, whether because the radios, we need the radios for 26. The jury seating, I guess that's the decision. If we don't replace them, then we don't replace them in 26.
What I'm saying is we can approve all of this in 2 weeks.
You could approve it in 2 weeks, absolutely.
So what I would make a motion is to postpone 6D and 6E for 2 weeks. Staff during the chairwoman's remarks, do a presentation consistent with what Mr. Zam is the starter talking about, and then we can vote on them in 2 weeks.
Well, okay, you'd have to amend that because 6C we've already voted on. So you could move it, you could amend that to 6D, 6E,
Okay,
if you want to.
you convince me. We can do that.
Okay, so what is the motion, Member Eckhoff?
Postpone 6D and 6E for 2 weeks, to vote on them at that time after staff makes a presentation under chairwoman's remarks.
Okay, well, it was seconded by Member Desart, I believe, correct? Okay, can I get a roll call on that, please?
Member Garcia,
No.
Member Heather, Member Honig, Member Krajewski, Member LaPlante, Member Ozag, Member Rutledge, Member Schwarzy, Member Tornatori? Member Yu? Member Zay? Member Cahill? Member Childress? Member Covert? Member Desart? Member Eckhoff?
Aye.
Member Evans? Member Galassi? And Member Schwarzy.
So the vote is 10 no and 8 yes. The motion I guess you thought you said yes. So you are down as a yes. The motion still failed. So we're gonna move back to motion to approve 6D, which is the transfer of funds. Can I get a motion to transfer the funds of general fund contingencies to the infrastructure fund in 103,000 for replacement of Warren jury seating in 4 courtrooms to relieve pressures on the fiscal year 2026 budget? Can I get a second first, and then I'll have discussion. Second by member Ozog, discussion by member Desart.
Thank you. So since this board does not have an appetite to hear presentations about these items and to just go ahead and fund them, may I suggest that in future, when items like this come out next or 2 weeks from now or 2 weeks after that, that we do get presentations before they're just put on the agenda?
We'll certainly have a discussion on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, member Desart. Okay, can I get a roll call on this?
Member Garcia?
Aye.
Member Heather? Member Honig? Member Krajewski? Member LaPlante? Member Ozag? Member Rutledge? Member Schwarzy? Member Tornatori? Member Yu?
Aye.
Member Zay? Member Cahill? Member Childress? Member Covert? Member Desart? Member Eckhoff? Member Evans? Member Galassi? And Member LaPlante.
Motion carries. Moving on to 6E, and can I get a motion to approve 25-2048 transfer of funds from infrastructure contingencies to furniture and furnishings in the amount of $130,000 for replacement of Warren jury seating in 4 courtrooms to relieve the pressures on the fiscal year 2026 budget? Motion to approve by member Childress, second by member Evans. Any discussion on this item? Any further discussion? That's gonna roll call on this one also.
Member Garcia?
Aye.
Member Heather? Member Honig? Member Krajewski? Member LaPlante? Member Ozag? Member Rutledge? Member Schwarzy? Member Tornatori? Member Yu?
Aye.
Member Zay? Member Cahill? Member Childress? Member Covert? Member Desart? Member Eckhoff? Member Evans? And Member Galassi.
Okay. Nick, did you want to add something?
I just wanted to get the,
Motion carries, by the way. So let me see that motion carries.
I just wanted to hear from the committee how you wanted to move forward or not move forward with radios at the next meeting. I can have Linda Zerwin here to give a why they're needed or for that consideration. Is that the will of the board, or do you want me to wait? Well, I mean,
Okay, well, I would prefer that Linda come and do a quick presentation on that. The information will be on the packet that you can read. If you have any questions, I think you can contact Linda, correct?
Yeah.
And we'll have her do a presentation, and then that'll be in the agenda for next, unless there's anyone that's against. No? Okay, great. That's what we'll do. Thank you. Okay, moving on to, may I get a motion to approve 25-2031 budget transfers for 8/26/2025 various companies and account and it's a motion by, we're gonna go member Rutledge on that one, a second by member Heather. Any discussion on this one? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to procurement requisitions, and I'm gonna turn it over to Vice Chair Cahill.
Thank you. I move for approval on 25-1992, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order issued to Midwest Office Interiors, Inc. for new tables and chairs for 3 conference rooms for the Supervisor of Assessments Office and Board of Tax Review for the period August 26th, 2025 through November 30th, 2025, for a contract total amount not to exceed $29,487.49. Contract pursuant to the Intergovernmental Cooperation Act.
A motion made by Vice Chair Cahill, second by, I think, Member Covert. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Vice Chair Cahill. Moving on to Animal Services and Member Krajewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on ASP 0003-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract with Corvus North America LLC to provide veterinary and pharmaceutical medical supplies to DuPage County Animal Services from September 14th, 2025 through September 13th, 2026 for a contract not to exceed $70,000. Third and final option to renew.
A motion by Member Krajewski, second by Member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Member Krajewski. Moving on to Human Services and Member Shorzy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I asked our Community Services Director, Mary Keating, to make a short presentation. We've heard discussion this morning indirectly about community services and how the federal grants can potentially affect this department. And Mary's going to give a short presentation on what that may look like.
Good morning, and thanks for a few minutes of your time. As Member Schwarzy said, I'm just going to give a brief overview of sort of where we stand on the various proposals coming out of the federal government for the grants that support the Department of Community Services. I think IT will have a slide up in just a minute that shows the information that I'm going to give, and I'll certainly send it to the rest of the board. So as we know, it's a multi-step process for the federal budget to be passed. The president proposes a budget, then the House comes up with their appropriations, the Senate comes up with theirs, and then eventually the House and Senate have to get together on an approval. So we have a number, as you know, a number of different federal grants that support lots of different activities in the Community Services Department. The president's proposed budget eliminated all of them. On the Senate side, the Senate has passed the appropriations bills for all of the sort of associated grants for us. It's not terrible news. Several of them are proposed to be level funded. I'm not quite sure why the slide's not up. I apologize for that. Okay. The Senate level funded the majority, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're talking about 8 different grants. The Senate level funded 5 of them. 2 of them have a modest increase of about 10%, and 1 of them has a proposed 12% decrease. So the decrease in the Senate side comes from the Community Development Block Grant. That grant supports, here we go, that grant supports 8 staff. Is there a way to make that bigger? Okay. That grant supports 8 staff within our department, as well as we provide a significant portion of that funding to outside agencies. And so we fund both salaries for staff at outside agencies as well as infrastructure projects for municipalities. So the president's proposing eliminating that one. The House has done their appropriations for that particular one. The House is proposing level funding, and the Senate is proposing a 12% cut. So we anticipate there will be some level of cut of the CDBG program. The issue there is we are capped at how much we can spend on the administration of that program. That's capped at 20%. So when we're looking at a cut to the admin that we can do, that's directly impacts our ability to actually run that program. And so we may need to do a little bit of backfill from general fund on our administration costs. The Home Affordable Housing Partnership only supports 1 headcount, but that's the fund that we use to support the construction or rehabilitation of affordable housing in DuPage County. And as we know, that's a high priority for the board. The president proposed an 80% cut, the House proposed eliminating it, and the Senate proposed level funding. So it's really anybody's guess where that one ends up when, if one chamber says level funding and the other says nothing. The problem, well, there's 2 problems the elimination or reduction of the home program. First of all, we wouldn't have funds to help support the construction of affordable housing. We've got a couple of projects underway right now. But more concerning to me is that we have an obligation, once we put home funds into a project, into a development, we're on the hook for 20 years to make sure that development stays affordable and that it stays a high quality. So we have to go out and monitor the tenant files, and we also have to inspect the units. And we have to do that for 20 years. And if they fall out of compliance, the developer has to pay us back, but ultimately we're on the hook for those funds. If that program is eliminated and we still have those obligations, we have to have staff who can actually monitor those projects. And we unfortunately would not have federal funding to help support that. Moving kind of quickly down the rest, we've got level funding in a couple, but the House has not yet passed the appropriations that tell us what to expect for CSBG, the Community Services Block Grant, LIHEAP and Weatherization, and Older Americans Act. And so those are really significant, large projects. LIHEAP, not only do we have a large number of staff that manage that, this year we've taken 11,000 applications for LIHEAP assistance. That's for energy assistance. And so, it's more than the impact on our staff. That's what this chart is really focusing on, but the impact on the community at large would be massive if LIHEAP is significantly cut or eliminated. The Older Americans Act, we don't know what the House will do there. And so we're really up in the air. There's a couple of things that we also need to think about. So we currently have our expansion to 211 was funded with ARPA. So in 2027, we'll need to be looking at how we maintain that 211 funding. We are getting a little bit of funding from the state, but as you probably know, the Budget Reconciliation Act made massive changes to Medicaid and SNAP benefits, and a lot of costs are being shifted down to the states. And so we have a number of things, particularly in seniors, that are funded by the state. And we don't know what the state budget will look like when the state has to make up those cuts. So that's sort of where we stand. We'll know, I guess, when the House reconvenes in September, we'll know if they're going to do it. I think everyone assumes they're going to do a continuing resolution for some period of time. But until the House passes their appropriations, we really can't make a terribly educated guess as to where we're going to need to eliminate programs or backfill to continue services within the department.
Thank you so much, Mary. I appreciate that. I know it's frustrating for you. It's frustrating for your team and your staff because it's just the unknown. And I know the chair's been working with you closely, and this is a priority for her budget for fiscal year 2026 to make sure that's taken care of. So thank you so much. Any other questions for Mary at this point in time? Nope. Okay. Thank you, Mary. Back to Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. I move on item HSP 4325, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Kronos Inc., a UKG company for software support services for the Kronos automated time and attendance system for the DuPage Care Center for the period September 28, 25 through September 27, 26 for a contract total not to exceed $90,980.
Motion Schwarzy, second by Member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on HSP 4425, recommendation for the approval of a contract to White Construction Services, Inc. to provide final architectural and engineering design and professional construction manager at risk guaranteed maximum price method of delivery for the modernization and upgrades of the DuPage Care Center East Building for the period August 26, 25 through November 30th, 29 for a total contract amount not to exceed $16,166,500.
A motion by Member Schwarzy, second by Member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Member Schwarzy. Moving on to Judicial and Public Safety and Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on JPS CO 6-25, amendment to purchase order 7363-1 serve issued to Strikers Inc. to increase the contract encumbrance in the amount of $75,000 for a new contract total not to exceed $240,000.
A motion by member Evans, second by member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on JPSP 34-25, recommendation for the approval of a county contract issued to Monterey Security Consultants, Inc. to provide security services for the Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management Security Division for the period of December 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2028 for contract amount not to exceed $4,334,766.17.
Motion by member Evans, second by vice chair Cahill. Any discussion on this item? Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I noticed it went through 2028. We know that the sheriff's going to be taking over responsibility for the campus. Was there any reduction in costs for Monterey, or that really doesn't come into play with the sheriff's office?
Excuse me, no, sorry, it doesn't come into play. The sheriff will simply be replacing Wheaton PD's responsibility for the campus. Has no impact on our security, other than who we're dealing with on a call.
Okay, and we made sure that the CRC is covered in this?
The CRC is on its own as of December 1, and they've been paying their own security fees actually this entire fiscal year. So that's not in here at all. They're completely on their own.
Oh, okay, it wouldn't be cheaper to combine them, or no? All right, you just need different kind of security there.
They've expressed some different needs.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, no, that's fine.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this? Okay, then all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to legislative and member Desart.
Thank you. Just a quick note to let you know that the following two contracts were approved unanimously in committee. So with that, I move to approve LEG P0002-25, a recommendation for the approval of a contract to Marquardt and Humes, Inc. to provide consulting services as lobbyists representing DuPage County before the Illinois General Assembly and State Executive Branch for the period of September 15th, 2025 through September 14th, 2026 for County Board for the contract total amount not to exceed $94,500. Other professional services not suitable for competitive bid.
Got a motion by member Desart, second by member Heather. And we got a question by member Covert.
Just a comment. Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say that this company consulting firm has been doing a great job for several years at our county, so I'm happy to support.
Thank you, member Covert. Any other discussion on this? Then all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Member Desart.
Thank you. I move to approve LEG-P0003-25, a recommendation for the approval of a contract to Rauchi and Sullivan Strategies, LLC, to provide consulting services as lobbyists representing DuPage County before the Illinois General Assembly and State Executive Branch for the period of September 1st, 2025 through August 31st, 2026 for County Board for a contract total not to exceed $52,500. Other professional services not suitable for competitive bid.
Got a motion by member Desart, second by member Zay. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Desart. Moving on to Public Works and member Childers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to discharge the Public Works Committee as to agenda item 7.f.1 FMP 4325.
Got a motion, second? Got a motion and a second to discharge SF1. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That has been discharged.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve 7.f.1 FMP 4325 on the recommendation for the approval of a contract to International Kruger International, Inc. to furnish, deliver, and install replacement gallery seating for courtrooms 2003, 4001, 4003, and 4010 at the Judicial Office Facility for Facilities Management for a period of August 26, 2025 through March 31, 2026, for a total contract amount not to exceed $129,722.56.
Got a motion by member Childers, second by member Yu. We've got discussion by member Krajewski.
Was this an emergency that came up here to put these more court seating in these galleries? They didn't even put it through committee.
I'm gonna have Tim Harbaugh from facilities come up and answer that. Microphone.
We were not able to get all those pieces put together in order to meet the deadline for posting, which was about 12 days ago. That's why it was discharged from committee. Or that's why we're requesting that from finance.
So, yeah, okay, so you could get the pay, but is it like sorely needed? It just couldn't wait till the next month?
But this was kind of in summary with this discussion we had earlier in this committee meeting.
Is this
Same
another-
gallery seating.
Is this another one coming from the?
This is your same
Oh,
discussion
the
from
same
earlier.
thing, okay.
Correct. This is just the funding was one piece and then the acquisition is the
So
second.
now
piece.
it's going up, okay, it's a little less than the 130, okay,
Member Covert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a really quick question. I know we've been talking about these, the seating and the wear and tear in the courtroom. Obviously, we need the seats, and I'm very proud of our courtroom because amongst the lawyer community, we call DuPage County Courthouse the Cadillac of all courthouses. So we're very proud of it. And my question was that do you think we could get a comparison between, like, if we were to change all these cloth seatings to benches? We have, I believe we have benches in some courtrooms, but instead of seating where the regular public sits, instead of having cloth seating and we change that all to benches, what would the cost look like compared to the cost of the seating replacement and the cost of the bench replacement? And would it
Sure,
be cheaper?
that absolutely can be pursued for the next time we pursue another courtroom, we can actually pursue that and then present those findings.
Right, because if
Absolutely.
one's cheaper than the other, then
Sure.
we could just go with the
Sure.
benches. Okay, right, thank you.
Okay, member Desart.
I know we don't want a Pinto, but do we really need a Cadillac? I'm not sure we do.
I can tell you that 20 years next door, operating a courthouse that was built in 1880s is a challenge. So
Yeah.
I have enjoyed my 12 years here with a building that was built in 1994. I think a lot of that has to do with when the facility was constructed. For example, Will County's was constructed about 3 or 4 years ago. So theirs is going to have much more upgrades than what we had.
Okay.
But no, I've seen that.
My question is this, I don't see the little comment about this coming from the 2026 budget. So my question is, does this come from the 2025 budget?
Correct, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is in the budget for this year.
That,
No, yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same thing we talked about earlier.
I understand. All right. Thank you.
Member Honig.
Thank you, Chair. And just to be clear, these gallery seats, people sit at these at length. Like, people aren't, going in there and saying like your case is right then. People sit there right, but people still sit there for a long period of time. So
I hate to do this, I gotta refer to some of our lawyers that are in the room. It just depends on the case and why they're there. This is audience seating that for the audience when they're waiting for loved ones, associates, cases to be heard.
Right, audiencing, not they're separate.
Correct.
So, but my point still stands that some people are there for extended amount of time, so it's extremely uncomfortable. So just to put that out there. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on this?
Is it the jury seating, is what we had earlier, but this is the gallery seating? But
This is gallery seating. This is for the public.
But what, didn't the thing we did earlier was the jury seating?
This is for the public.
But the things we voted on a few minutes ago that we said was the same, said jury seating. Now this says it's gallery seating. But we're saying it's the same thing? It's the same seats?
Correct. Right. Sometimes it's a term that's used within the industry.
So the jury seating and the gallery seating is the same?
It's a terminology that's used for this type of furniture, but this is for the public.
So in the first part, we said it's jury seating, this is gallery seating, but it's the same seating.
Correct.
I see our attorney shaking her head, no. The jury's in a jury box and the gallery's in the, well, I know, but the thing we did earlier is that's the jury. And but this one we're voting on says it's the gallery seating.
I would take that.
Correct.
So to stand corrected, I said it was the same thing we voted on before, but it's not the same thing we voted for. These are
It's
two
the same-
different things.
Same furniture, same paperwork. It's for the public.
So that's
Yeah.
incorrect. What we just did earlier was for jury. That's not what we're voting on now.
Yeah,
Which I
okay,
was-
Jennifer's gonna come up and gonna explain.
Because I
Hold
was
on a
just
second.
told it
We're
was
gonna
the
get some
same-
explanation here.
It is gallery seating. The budget transfer form had gotten changed from gallery seating to jury seating. But it is gallery seating. It's the same, the budget transfers were the same as is what this.
Okay,
budget
so the first thing we
said.
voted on wasn't for the jury
It's
seating.
gallery.
It was supposed to be for gallery.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so it was the same item, different verbiage, same chairs.
That's why I thought it was
Yeah, no,
different.
I appreciate it. No, let's be clear on what we're voting on here.
I
So
thought
let's
it was
see.
different seats. It was more of them. I thought we were doing gallery now because we just.
Yeah, I thought it was the same one. I think we're on the same page. It's the same one.
Yeah,
correct?
it just wasn't jury. The first one we voted on was the gallery. We're not doing.
It's
the
those waiting to go on the jury. Those that's sitting there waiting to be called, so. No. Okay, so any other discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on. Michael,
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on FMP 3825. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to Boris Mechanical Inc. to replace the #2 boiler burner at the power plant for facilities management for a period of August 26, 2025 through November 30, 2026 for a contract total amount not to exceed $1,350,445.
Got a motion by member Childress, second by member Desart. Is there any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on FMP 3925 on the recommendation for the approval of a contract to Stone Group Inc. for grease trap cleaning and pumping as needed for the county campus for facilities management for a period of September 1, 2025 through August 31, 2026 for a total contract amount not to exceed $72,905.
I got a motion by member Childress, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on FMP 4025 on the recommendation for the approval of a contract to Olson Roofing Company, Inc. for roof restoration work on the auditorium at the JTK Administration Building for facilities management for a period of August 26, 2025 through April 30, 2026 for a total contract amount not to exceed $139,005.
Motion by member Childress, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on FMCO 325 on the recommendation for the county contract to Hume Electric for Phase 2 installation of solar panels on the roof of the JTK Administration Building for facilities management to add additional scope of work to include the new solar panels on the JTK auditorium roof, extend the contract expiration to November 30, 2026, and increase the funding in the amount of $224,183, taking the original contract amount from $574,833 and resulting in a final county cost of $799,016, an increase of 39%.
Got a motion by member Childress, second by member Desart. Is there any discussion on these wonderful items? Member Desart.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if Nick can come up and talk to the fact that the increase of 39% is because the scope of the project increased, correct? Is that what I remember from the Public Works Committee meeting?
You have a very good memory on that one. You were correct. And this is actually a really good story. So Hune Electric, they're doing our solar panels on our roof right now. We were able to work with them to include a whole nother portion of our roof on 421. And by doing it this way, we're able to take advantage of the federal rebates. The timing is super critical. This is the last project of this type that will likely qualify for them. So it's practically, I mean, from what we're getting from the federal government, Hune Electric held their pricing, so we're able to get a whole nother section of roof done. And so it's actually a great story. So
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Member Rutledge.
Hang on, Nick, and we already voted on, doing roof work on the auditorium in preparation for those panels, correct?
you voted on that beforehand.
Mhm.
Whenever we put on solar on any of the buildings here, we always look at the condition of the roof, make sure the roof is in great shape, almost, brand new. Once you recoat it, it'll be almost brand new, and the life of the roof will far extend past the solar panels.
Thanks, Nick. I'm thrilled to see this.
All right, any other discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And finally, I'd like to move on PWP 2425 on the recommendation for the approval of an agreement between County of DuPage, Illinois, and Baxter and Woodman for on-call permit and ordinance review for a period of 2026 to August 26, 2025 to November 30, 2028 for a total contract amount not to exceed $90,000.
Motion by member Childers, second by member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Childers. Moving on to transportation and member Ozark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval of item 25-1936, amendment to resolution DTR 8123 issued to Mead Incorporated for the 2024-2025 traffic signal and streetlight maintenance program to increase the funding in the amount of $219,745.69, resulting in an amended contract total amount of $5,114,971.10, an increase of $4.50. I mean, 4.50%.
Okay, motion by member Ozark, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTP 4125, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Priority Products Incorporated to furnish and deliver weatherhead hydraulic fittings, hoses, and connectors for the Division of Transportation for the period November 1st, 2025 through October 31st, 2026, for a contract total not to exceed $45,000, second of 3 renewals.
Motion by member Ozark, seconded by member Rutledge. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTP 4225, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Lakeshore Recycling Systems for disposal of solid waste for the Division of Transportation for the period October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $55,000 per lowest responsible bid, first of 3 renewals.
Got a motion by member Ozark, second by member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTP 4325, recommendation for the approval of a contract with RM Chin and Associates for professional construction engineering services for the Division of Transportation, Highway Maintenance Garage and Yard Facilities for a contract total not to exceed $4,661,460, professional services vetted through a qualification-based selection process in compliance with the Illinois Local Government Professional Services Selection Act.
Got a motion by member Ozog, a second by member Eckhoff. No, oh, okay, member Zay. Question by member Schwarzy.
Thank you. So this is for the new transportation building for on the fairgrounds, correct?
Got Stephen coming up to answer.
Correct.
Yes.
So I do have a question because I know part of this project was, providing the beautification to the remainder of those fairgrounds. So what is the status with that? Because I know, the events continue out there. And of course, they have the big spring event that they have every year, people coming from all over the country and beyond. Where are we at with that part? Because obviously, as we start building these transportation buildings, the events don't stop. We don't want them to stop. So where does that stand with
Yeah, sure.
potential construction of these buildings?
So we've been coordinating with Fairgrounds Association, actually had a very productive meeting with them yesterday, just to make sure we were all on the same page. It's our intent to, as expeditiously as possible, get the contract on the street as part of our original schedule later this year, and probably award that contract next year. You guys will all see that. This contract is for the engineering to supervise that as our owner's rep. So the status of the actual work, we, again, like I said, are coordinating with Fairgrounds. The intent is to get in and do the things we have to do to keep that scheduled without disrupting the entirety of the site. So we're looking to do some advanced work. Probably, it may or may not be part of that larger contract. It'll either be 2 contracts or one big one, just with stipulations on the timing. But nonetheless, we will work on things like the large sanitary sewer relocation. We have to kind of occupy that space. The Fairground Association will have everything east of that spot on their existing, the large area by the railroad tracks at the north. And that's kind of the way it's going. So as we touch stuff, we got to get into it and disrupt it. And we will try to keep them working where we're not, and vice versa. But probably spring, right after Highland Games of 2026, most of the site will be disrupted.
Okay.
But yeah, we're going to get on the street. We're going to try and coordinate with them and make it happen so they can hold Highland Games, for example. And yet we can still do what we have to do.
Thank you. That answered my question. Thanks so much.
And I also want to really thank Steve and all of the transportation staff. They've been working really closely with the Fairgrounds Association, and we will continue to do that. In the very near future, we plan to bring a site plan and preliminary drawings to the Transportation Committee and then eventually to the board. So that'll be happening in the near future. I won't say very near future, but definitely well before the end of the year. So, but I really do commend Steve and the staff who have been working with them as much as you could hope for. So I think we've had a really good relationship, and that will definitely continue once construction starts. So
Good to hear.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve,
Thank
for
you,
the
Steve.
explanation. Thank you, Member Rosa. And you can continue. We have to vote on this. Any other discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval of DTR 2625, awarding resolution to H&H Electric Company for LED traffic signal head replacement at various locations within DuPage County for an estimated county cost of $485,292.85 per lowest responsible bid.
Well, motion by Member Ozark, second by Member Zay. Any discussion? Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair Garcia. I brought it up at the Transportation Committee. I'm not on that committee, but I was traveling in Kane County and was very pleased to see yellow flashing left turn arrows at several of the intersections. And I asked Steve about that for DuPage County because I think it's, I don't know, not a courtesy to the drivers, but nothing is more frustrating than sitting at a light trying to turn left when there are no cars anywhere around. So if we could go a little more with that in our county, I'd love to see it.
Yes, as we discussed at Transportation Committee, the flashing yellow arrow is in the appropriate instance, a improvement in safety over just the standard green ball that you might get. So it gives left turning traffic a little bit extra guidance, if you will. The reason we've not wholesale changed everything is because generally it works better in corridors where you see them as you drive along. And so you get them one after the other, and you kind of, the herd mentality takes over and people start to get it. You don't want to just plop them down indiscriminately. So as the opportunity presents itself, including 63rd Street, we are going to be installing them where they make sense, and we'll look for new opportunities as we go.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, thank you, Member Rutledge. Any other discussion on this item? All those in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Hey, I move for approval of DTR 2725 intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and York Township Road District for traffic signal repairs related to the township's 2025 road maintenance resurfacing project, no county cost.
A motion by member Ozog, second by member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And finally, I move for approval of DTR 2825, authorization to the Division of Transportation to redesignate funds for programs in the Hinsdale Lake Terrace neighborhood from sidewalk and lighting improvements to the pilot rideshare access program. Estimated county cost $500,000.
Got a motion by member Ozog, second by member Evans. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank
That
you.
motion carries. Thank you. We have finance resolutions, and I'm going to turn it back to Vice Chair Cahill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval on FIR 0127-25, acceptance and appropriation of the Donated Funds Initiative Program Grant Program Year 26 intergovernmental agreement in the amount of $103,119, State's Attorney's Office.
Motion by member Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0130-25, transfer of funding from the DuPage Animal Friends Foundation Coordinator Grant Program Year 25 to the DuPage Animal Friends Unrestricted Grant Program Year 25 in the amount of $3,903.21. Animal Services.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0131-25, approval of employee compensation and job classification adjustments, Animal Services.
A motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion on this item? Much needed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0132-25, approval of revision to personnel budget, Animal Services.
A motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0133-25, acceptance and appropriation of the Illinois Department of Human Services Homeless Prevention Grant Program Year 26 intergovernmental agreement in the amount of $384,000, Community Services.
A motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Rutledge. Any discussion on this item? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0134-25, correction of a scrivener's error in resolution FIR 0120-25 for the HUD 2024 Continuum of Care Planning Grant Program Year 26, approved and adopted on August 12th, 2025, adjusting the budget lines, Community Services.
We've got a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0136-25, authorization of a contract with International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 399, Department of Community Services.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move to receive and place on file payment of claims, county board resolutions, wire transfers, grant proposal notifications.
Got a motion to receive and place on file by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member LaPlante. Any discussion on these items? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much for that. Okay, moving on to our presentations. I'm just going to be, for the safety's sake, I'm going to state our next presentation is the DuPage County Clerk for the fiscal year 2026 budget presentation. I'm just making sure that no one is here from the clerk's office. Okay. Again, only just restating that she's the only elected officer that has not come, or representative from her office to give her presentation. So we're going to move on to human resources and the fiscal year 2026 budget presentation, and we're going to include Chris Clevenger. Welcome, Chris.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Good morning.
I'm Chris Clevenger and here to talk about the FY26 budget for our departments. So the first slide that we'll go to is just an overview of our organization. So it shows us our org chart. We have 17 headcount in our budget. And I'm happy to say we have 16 filled positions. So we are slowly making progress, getting those filled and doing the things that we love to do in our office. So you can see I provided some of the accomplishments we've done in 2024. Some of that we did fill a dedicated full-time recruitment specialist because that was a pain point for us to make sure we stay on top of that. We also have in early 25 a deputy director in our office. So we're feeling good about kind of our structure, and you can see kind of the work that we produce on an annual basis. Some of it we have been really active with our union negotiations. We've had a lot, as I'm proud to say, well, there's another one on the agenda this time for a first-time contract. So we are moving and we're trying to be more forward-facing and trying to support our people as well. So the next slide gives us an overview of kind of our FY26 items we'd like to present for consideration. In the personnel budget, you'll see that there is some movement. We are looking to do, as we assess the needs and the work that we do, to reclassify a grade for 2 of our staff to appropriately grade them, as well as taking that 1 vacant headcount. We'd like to repurpose it to a compensation analyst. We have found that that's a big need for us, for someone to be a little more focused on the salaries and earnings and compensation, and between the unions and non-union positions. I think that would help provide support to us as well as the finance department. Some of the other goals that we're looking to do during COVID, we did have all our new employee orientation online. We'd like to bring that back in-house. We feel that there's a value to sitting down and talking to employees and getting some face time in front of those new hires to provide information, and hopefully they then get a little more familiarity with our office and feel comfortable engaging with us. So we are looking to do what I would call a hybrid, where we'd have some presentation engagement with them in person, and then some things online that they can watch the videos. We also have started doing such things such as offboarding meetings. So as employees are thinking about retirement and the next steps in their lives, we have been welcoming them to our department and going through the paperwork to make sure they have a good understanding of what they have, what they need, what their options are. We also have had IMRF come back in. They've had a couple days here where they have had meetings on site with our employees. That's been very well received. We also then have been providing information to them so they know how they can contact them if they're not able to meet with them here, that they know that they can meet with them either in their Oak Brook office or online virtually. So we have been trying to engage that so employees feel like they're very empowered with the information they need in their next steps in their lives. So that's one thing we're really pleased with, and we'd like to continue more of that with that. We also want to engage in our communications. We've been attending more job fairs. We've also been working with different organizations, providing presentations, such as PADS and other places in DuPage County. So we are trying to get the word out about us and consider the county as a place of employment, and just kind of reminding people what our services are. We also are looking at hopefully working on some professional development, both internally in our office, and then trying to find support to provide that to our employees and departments. And then also we're moving, building our intranet to be a better resource for employees so they can have that at their convenience too. So those are some of the things we've been working on, and we're going to continue to work on and improve. So the next slide will be on our revenue. So we don't really create revenue, but we do receive revenue from the county to provide the core things that we do. So the personnel administration, providing support to departments, as well as policy information. Selection division is the recruitment component that we do. And then payroll and benefits is done for the entire county. So the revenue that we receive is based off of the full-time headcount as well as the payroll number of paychecks we do. So that's kind of how it's calculated and how we receive revenue here. The next slide will be our expenses. So yes, there is some activity in there we have, and there is some movement we've made. So like I said, you've seen there is a slight increase to our budget. Some of it is that personnel that we've requested, some of the changes we're doing. One, we do plan on filling all our positions. That's our intention. Historically, we have not, as well as making some changes to the positions I talked about. The other is the new system that is coming on board. Some of those costs are being put into the services for our software as a service, our managed services, and our time clock. So those have increased our budget as well. But in the spirit of looking at the costs overall, we have worked with finance, and from the numbers you have here, some of the lines have decreased based on kind of the needs and doing our part to make sure that we're being mindful of the money we spend. So, so we have that. The next slide would be, so that's pretty much our budget in a nutshell, high overview, I know. The next thing is the Dayforce implementation. So that has been kind of the last couple of years a big focus and still very big focus in our department, as well as we work in collaboration with IT and finance. So it is an ongoing project, as we talked about back in July. We have made some progress, happy to say. It is a lot of moving parts though. Not only do we need the human resources in a good place with the payroll, but we also need to make sure that finance has all the pieces they need once that payroll is processed. So we are still, we finished up just addressing discrepancies in our parallel, making sure we understand the differences between the two systems and that we match everything. We also are working on getting trained from our implementer, and we are in the same spirit creating documents and guides. So we are training our employees and we prepare for that. We are continually having weekly meetings with our consultant and internally within the departments to review reports and different tasks within the project. And then also we are currently pulling data. So we're working heavily with the IT department in doing data migration right now between the current system we're in to the new system. And once that's done, then that needs to all be validated, of course, to make sure that was done properly and successfully. So, what we need for our go live is some commitments that we vetted everything properly, like I said, to move that migration. We also are we're moving kind of from a more manual system to an automated system. So there are new pieces like vetting our data feeds that will be now in place that we haven't had before. We're also looking at all the financial reports at this time. Now that that parallel is being completed, now it's really looking at those financials and making sure that the GL is clean and is appropriate, as well as finalizing all those testing that goes with that part, and then also just making sure we have the confidence that the system is good to go for county, health department, and regional office of education. So all three groups have been working to make sure that all those pieces are done in our project. So that is my update and my budget. So questions?
Oh, goodness. Well, first I'll say thank you so much. I'm grateful to you for reaching out and doing more orientation and more when they're leaving, giving more information. Get the bell ready. When I left my last job, there you go. I didn't get any kind of send off with any information in terms of retirement or anything like that. So, I love that the county is being proactive in terms of making sure that people know when they leave and when they come in, what exactly they need to know. So that I thank you for that. So now, hands up again. Let's see who we got. Right. So I'm just gonna go front row, Vice Chair Cahill.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. Two quick questions. Number one, I think it's important for everyone here to understand
what you want with this compensation and benefit analysis and why it's an important role for your department, because it's my understanding, and you can then explain in detail, that when other departments and elected officials come and want to raise the salaries of within their department, that you have reviewed, or your expert would have reviewed what is standard in the industry. So do you want to explain that first?
Absolutely. So when we get requests of job reclassifications, equity increases, those types of things, and just really hiring salaries, we do, and those pieces come in, we do an assessment. And what's needed is an internal equity assessment, a market assessment externally, as well as making sure it's sustainable within the budget. So we want to make sure that we are paying competitively, that we are attracting and able to retain staff with the correct compensation, as well as we are trying to be mindful of compensation equitably across the board, because I mentioned what's called a snowball effect. When you go too high, then others are looking at that compensation saying, am I equitably paying my staff? And that can be fiscally impactful to the county. So we are very mindful of that. We have a pointing and grading system that we use for all our non-union employees. So we work with Hay compensation. They're now called Corn Ferry. They've been bought out. And we point and grade those positions to make sure they work within those grade ranges. Now, it has been some time that we've done that, and that's another thing that this position will do, is look at the compensation trends, look at what we're doing, how we're applying it, seeing what the trends are. A lot has changed. The minimum wage has changed. Minimum salaries for exempt positions have changed. The laws are changing. We want to make sure that we are keeping everybody equitable and that we're also compliant with laws, as well as we look at our counterparts, our collared counties, our municipalities, even private sector at times, to see what the compensation is, to make sure that what we're doing is appropriate and that we stay consistent and fair and equitable. So
Okay.
this position would do all those things.
Thank you. But as a follow-up to that, what is the policy in the county when a department or an elected official chooses to raise the salaries within that department? Are they to go to you so that you then will look at what the industry standard is for that position?
Yes. So most departments and most offices, all departments, most offices, I should say, do come to us and say, this is what we're looking to do. This is where our pain points are. A lot of them even have knowledge of like where to look at to say, here is where our challenges are. Here's maybe what we see in the industry that we're in. And they come to us. We work, in partnership or on our own to do our research, do some analysis, see, is it really apples to apples? We have to look at the organizational structure, how it's supported, funding, tasks, there's a lot of pieces that we mine through to make sure it's truly apples to apples. Looking just at maybe a posting doesn't always tell you the full story, and that's what this position will do.
Okay, thank you. And one quick further question. You said that after you presented this budget, you went with finance and you would then reduce certain line items. What is your net? Is it an increase now, or is it
Still an increase, but
what is the increase now?
The increase, I don't have that number.
Okay.
But
okay.
we did reduce, just because I didn't have it on this one, but we did look at other items that we have, the personnel and the systems is our biggest piece, but we looked at other non-pieces that we thought we would have, equipment and, some other IT supplies and checks. We reduced the costs. We'll just cut back then.
All right, Member Glossy?
Thank you for the presentation. A couple comments. I really like that you're going back to face-to-face orientation. I personally am just ready to move on from the Zooms and the video conference things of during COVID. So I'm glad that you're doing that. I think that's important for our employees. Just to follow up with Member Cahill's questions, who's been doing the compensation analysis since that position hasn't been filled?
The senior generalists that we have been doing that piece of it, and they will continue. There's just a lot of requests and demands, and we feel that during budget time, we see a lot of requests come in. We're doing analysis on that. During the union negotiations, we do a full analysis before we go to the table to look at what the market is. We just think because of the volume that this position will really bring additional support, maybe be a little bit more comprehensive and focused. So,
Okay,
yeah.
understood. Could we get the budget presentation back on the screen? I guess I don't totally understand your miscellaneous revenue. I don't get what that means. Okay. Is it just money from the general fund that's being transferred?
Oh, for the revenue? Yes, correct.
Okay.
So it
it's
is
not
from-
that you're actually generating revenue.
No, we are
Okay.
not. No, we
That's-
are just receiving funding to support the different areas we support. And it's based on, different revenue from different sources within the county. And just based on their full-time head count, they have an equation that determines what funding we get
Okay.
to support us. Special revenue funds.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and it just didn't make sense to me, 'cause I didn't
Okay.
understand where you would be generating revenue.
We don't. We
Okay,
definitely don't. No. But that's just how we receive funds
Yeah.
to support our department.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. And then my final question, if you can go to the next screen, of the expenses. And this might have been something that you did reduce, but the, professional services, it looks like your actual in 25 is only gonna be 317 and you're requesting 937. So I'm just wondering why.
Yeah, professionals. I have little sheets here. Hold on. Oh, it's the Dayforce managed payroll. That's why it's gone up because that's part of our software is the managed services has gone in there.
So why was it only, if you requested 700 in 25 and it's only 300, is that because the system isn't
Correct.
live?
It's not live yet.
Okay.
Correct.
And
Mhm.
you anticipate it to be live and that's why it's gonna be going up?
It moves into our buckets. Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Member you?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Chris, for being here for this presentation. Mine is actually in line with Member Galassi's, because I did have a question with regard to professional services and the fact that there was such a large increase.
Yeah.
So just to be more specific, because I'm looking at the Open Gov section, it says IT services is at 0, collective bargaining services goes from 217, and the actual is 67,239. It goes up to 270, and then the other professional services is I think the one that you were talking about, the Dayforce. So can you just give me more information about the collective bargaining services, what that
Yeah.
is? And I have one more follow-up
Of
question.
course, sure. So yeah, with collective bargaining, we're actually working with the finance department because historically we have, put budget in for our union negotiations and we've had a lot this last couple of years. It's been pretty active.
Okay.
But the good thing is, we do budget for maybe a bigger impactful
Yeah.
negotiations. We've been just very fortunate. We've had very good attorneys that have been very financially responsible. They have not caused a burden to the finances while we do it, but I think we prepare for the worst, if things go into a bigger piece where the charges may be more, but we've had, that. So we are looking, because historically, you're right, the costs have not been as high as anticipated.
Yes.
So I think that's something that is on our radar and we are having discussions, to your point.
Okay, thank you. So then my second question has to do with Dayforce. So when is the go live date at this point? Can we get an update? Because it's been a while
It
since
has
we've had a
correct.
Dayforce update, and also related to that, will these numbers change if the go live date comes sooner as opposed to later?
Right. So we were hoping to go live in October, but we just, again, don't feel that it's completely ready yet. So we're looking to see is a 1/1 go live. It's a clean date, which is good. So you don't have to move over like year to date, mid-year. We just hope we need to see the progress on the pieces I mentioned with now that the parallel is in a place, now it's all the things on the back end. Once we can cut a check, is it going to all the operations? And we have to vet all that data and information. We've made progress, but we need to continue to see that progress. And also, once we see the data migration and we feel good about that as well, I think those two pieces will determine when we go live. I mean, ideally, I think 1/1 is possible, but we really have to see the progress continue.
Okay, 1/1 is a lot further away than October. Okay, thank you.
And I have to add, because Chris and I have been talking about Dayforce, that this is people's paychecks. So we don't want to make sure that they are correct.
For sure.
This is not something that we want to be, maybe doing it. We want to make sure that
Correct.
we're correct.
It doesn't kind of
So-
work, it has to work.
Yes,
Well,
yes, yes.
Thank you.
So, moving on, I think Member Evans, did you have a question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Christine. That was a great presentation, and I'm so glad you're our executive director. And I just want to know if, in the future, when you can come up for air, I know you've been very, very busy. I would love to see an employee survey to see how people feel about their work at the county, whether or not they feel supported, where their pain points are, maybe if they have problems and with, they're about to leave because they're not making enough money. Maybe, I know you're doing employee surveys, but you never know. Sometimes there's key employees that we really just can't afford to lose. So I'm wondering if there would be any plans to do an employee survey or build it into when we have employee reviews, if there's like a 360 review where they, it only goes one way right now. And it would be nice if it would be nice if the employees could say, hey, this is how I feel about my supervisor or about this, department head. And then we might be able to identify any problems and fix them before people start leaving. How hard is that?
I don't think it's hard. I think there's a lot of different options. There's stay interviews, there's the 360, like you mentioned, there's different pieces of just general surveys as things come through to kind of gauge where employees are at. I do think that's something that we could look at. I know we were looking to see what our employee performance reviews, what's out there in the world. I think it's definitely evolved from what we have. And it would be a nice to have. I think it would be nice. We do have the exit interviews, but that's when people are offboarding. So it's a little hard. It's something, but I do think, to your point, that we could try to see what else is out there. I think, being fully staffed will give us a little more flexibility to do some more project work to provide a little more data and information, kind of gauge our workforce here too. So,
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Evans. I think that's a great idea. I think we'll let them get through Dayforce, and then I think we will definitely go after that.
Do some good stuff, right?
Okay, Member Kajewski?
Thank you, Chris, for the presentation. It came up again last week, and we've talked about before, but the job classifications, the low, mid, high ends, which every time I look at, it makes no sense, especially at the higher ends, when I think our CFO does a great job and that salary's below the middle. Some of those high end ones are crazy. And I think that the last time we did that update was 2008. 2009.
Yeah.
Are we gonna fix that?
And that is kind of with this compensation person, I think that
Okay.
they can give that focus and energy and kind of look at what is out there, compensation
Because
wise.
since 2009, when you do the cost of living increases of the high end, especially the high job classifications, they make no sense. When we got potentially, I think Public Works, the high end is like $369,000, which and because we're going off a 2008 or 9 model, so thank you that we get that done. And the second thing is IMRF, because we've had such extremely major problems, which I'm not sure the board's aware of. I'm not sure if we're the largest employer, I think, of IMRF, or has most employees. Is it getting any better? Have they been able to? There's still stuff that's not online for people's statements from a year ago that usually come in February. Yeah, Jim's. And that's ridiculous. And I think we've had employees who it's taken months before they can start collecting a pension. I think and I know you've had IMRF in here, and all the counties have problems, and I know the board's aware. I think Southern Illinois County had to do a fundraiser for some retired secretary because they couldn't get her pension hooked up.
Right.
I mean, that's a major issue, and I think we need to start putting more pressure on IMRF to get this thing fixed. are we still having employee issues? And we had state's attorneys that had some issues. Cheryl Marquet, when she retired, they couldn't get her pension figured out.
Right, we have seen some, yes, we have seen some improvement in the engagement. They have been working with us. We work directly with the executive director. We did have Brian out here, Collins,
That was a few months ago.
a few months ago,
And
he came
I
and
I
talked
was
to.
promised that there would be statements up that aren't up there yet. I had conversations with them. And
Yeah.
they're just not getting the job done.
Right, and so we are staying on them. We absolutely have not let off the pedal on that. We are actually going to be reviewing the there's some wage
But I believe
reports.
we probably need to take a bigger step. I know you are working at staff level, but I think this board needs to get more engaged with IMRF. This is unacceptable, what they're doing, not just to DuPage County, but all the counties around here, when people can't get hooked up and get their pension. That just is, and I know they talk about software issues. I mean, we have a seat on that board, or at least we have somebody
Correct.
here from the county, but we need to, I mean, she's the president too.
She
Yes,
is,
she
yeah.
is.
And we have met with her and with Gwen Henry, our treasurer, and with IMRF leadership as well. So
This is September, and I mean, this has been going on for how long? When did they put this in program?
they,
A
March
year?
of 24 is when they implemented their.
A year and a half ago, and we're
Mhm.
still having problems with, which is, again, it's unacceptable, and I think this board needs to get more forceful to help HR and our employees, because it's unacceptable that IMRF is doing this to our employees.
I agree with you, and we'll keep working on it.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, member
I
Juicy.
think this board, or maybe Chair Conway, needs to get more involved than our staff trying to just argue with their staff to try to get a software problem fixed from a year and a half ago, and people can't collect their pensions.
Member Zay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chris, I just wanted to thank you and your staff for the phenomenal job you have done. It wasn't long ago that our employees felt uncomfortable going to HR, and you have really turned it around. And I think you've made it an asset again, where our employees feel comfortable when they have issues with insurance or retirement or any kind of HR issue, that they feel comfortable going down there.
Thank
I know you got your hands full, but you've done a great job of just turning this department around and making it an asset here at the county. Just want to thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, I actually agree with you, member Zay. I know. Is there anyone else who has any comments on that? Member Eckhoff?
I think you sort of answered this previously, but when you do your comparative analysis as to what the salary structure should be, you look at both private sector and public sector.
We do.
And then it was in my experience, due to certain benefits that public sector has in terms of job security and benefits and insurance and things like that, that public sector usually trends a little bit behind private sector.
Correct. Yeah. Benefits can be different. Pension is a big component of it. We don't see private pensions so much anymore. So that is one huge factor, but we do look at those other pieces as well as, other incentives. So we do, try to make them comparable, but we do consider those outlier components as differences.
And the fact that government, even in a recession, has to go on. So there's somewhat job security with it.
Yeah, there is essential functions that, in a good economy and a bad economy, we're required to provide. So there is, we do see the flow of applicants change too in those different times.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there any other discussion on the HR presentation? Thank you so much, Chris.
You all
for coming forward. I really appreciate it. And thank you to all of the departments who came forward, either to this board or to their parent board. And so now it goes into discussion. Moving into old business, and Vice Chair Cahill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say, in light of the ruling in favor of DuPage County in the lawsuit against Clerk Jean Kazmarek's office and Jean Kazmarek, I wanted to thank our state's attorney's office and the finance department for their endless hours, their hard work, and trying to get this resolved for the people of DuPage County. We know that through June 30th, there's 112,000 of legal fees that on this case. We do not know July and August. These are taxpayer funds that are spent Jean Casmeric to defend her, that those were her legal fees. And you have to also consider the time that the state's attorney's office and our finance department took to resolve this matter. We will get an update soon, I'm sure, with the actual ending legal fees of July and August. But I wanted to bring this to the attention of the people of DuPage County so they know, and that I also want to thank the state's attorney's office and the finance department.
Thank you. Just to add to that also, I was just conferring with the assistant state's attorney. It's still going on. So there's still going to be legal fees because it's still going to October. I think there's a counter suit against us for procurement reasons. So yes. So just so we're aware that yes, a summary judgment was done, but they want one on something for procurement. So that's still going on. That's still legal fees. That's still taxpayer dollars. So Member Zay was next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank you for your comments at the beginning of the meeting. You know, it started on April 17th, 2024, when 10 board members sent a letter to the Chair Conroy, asking for this issue to be put on the next county board meeting. So 16 months later, we're looking at this, and it wasn't a Republican or Democratic issue. It was a issue about taxpayers' money and making sure procedures are followed. And I really take issue. I know we're in that season where people are saying things, but when people are saying the county board is trying to interfere with the election process is totally ridiculous. What we're doing, we're stewards of the taxpayers' money. We're making sure that the money is being spent the right way and it's being transparent, and that they're following procedures, and that this is not something that's new. We've been going through it for, like I said, for years. And again, I'm glad that we got some judgment here on one of them, but like I said, it's ongoing. And again, I give you credit for at least asking the clerk. I know trying to get clerk and clerk staff to come down here, but again, we don't see the only department, the only countywide that doesn't come here and present their budget to the board. So again, it's good news, but I think we still have some time to go on this. So thank you.
Thank you, Member Zay. Member Kajewski was next.
Yeah, thank you. Just two quick things, off the clerk. Do we know how much rent we get from the fairgrounds? A year? Okay. Oh, $1 a year? Okay, so we get $1 a year for those fairgrounds. I mean, that may be a spot people might want to consider for affordable housing, since we have a bunch of land there. We don't get any money for it anyways. We put affordable housing there, and I think Greg Budloff, I saw him there. I think looked at a report back in maybe 2012 for different uses for the fairgrounds, but we only get $1. All the events that are run out there, we get $1 a year. But you mentioned earlier, pick up on Member Zay and Member Cahill, that I guess the finance department or finance chair and vice chair and chairwoman are going to get together and work on a budget for the clerk's office. I know we lost $4 million when she didn't file down in Springfield for our cannabis tax. But when they're not competitively bidding out work, there's a reason the state statute says that we have to bid stuff out is to get good deals for the taxpayers. So I guess since you didn't come here to present a budget, when you guys are working on putting the budget together so we can actually do an appropriate budget, you may want to get procurement involved to kind of look at some of those contracts that would kind of inquire what a bidding would have gotten, probably saved a bunch of money, so we could, appropriately put that in the budget. If it's competitively bid out, probably have tax savings. And that's the reason why government is supposed to bid things out, is to get the best pricing and find out what people are offering to do the work for. And I know we've had a lot of no bid contracts just given out there. So I would, employ you guys as you put that budget together to kind of work with our procurement office to see what maybe the prices should be if it was bid out.
I'm sorry, just a second. Okay, I'm just conferring with her because the county clerk's office does not have to work with our procurement office. Right, we definitely are. I'm just saying that the frustration is that they don't have to, and so sometimes I know our procurement department, we're working very closely with them, trying to find out
We have to come up with a budget, so we have to
correct
know what they do over there, and when they're not bidding stuff out, they're probably overpaying and costing us a lot of money to get an
Correct.
appropriate budget. As you try to come up with a budget, since you didn't come here with one, you should look at our procurement to help analyze those contracts and how much, if they were
Well,
competitively bid, what they
correct.
could be to come up.
And I know
with a budget.
Valerie from procurement department was working very diligently on, I think there's a Hart election equipment that's coming up for rebidding, and an email was sent that they will not be working with Valerie with that. So that's something that we'll be looking at closely. So thank you. Moving on to Member Glassy next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to kind of add on to what Member Cahill and Member Zay have said about the disappointment in the clerk not coming here. First of all, she didn't build out a budget. She didn't come here to present a budget, and the number was mentioned, 112,000 on external attorney's fees, legal fees. And I just want to make the point that that does not include all the time and effort that our state's attorney's office and our finance team and our board members are going to have already exerted and are going to have to expend to get their budget put together, which should really be their responsibility. So like Member Zay said, this should not be a partisan issue. We are stewards of our taxpayers' money, and the fact that the hard dollars spent has already ticked up to 112,000 with many more to come. And that is not even considering the amount of time and effort that our staff has had to expend. So, and that is really hard to put a number on. It's just incredibly disappointing, disrespectful. And in my opinion, if you're elected to do your job, do your job. And it's not happening right now. So I just wanted to reiterate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Glassy. Member LaPlante.
Thank you, Chair. To that point, it's not only a fiscal toll that this has taken on the board. Those of us who've been speaking up have really weathered a very, very hard toll of being blamed for asking questions and doing our job. I've done my job. This is our job. There are some board members here who don't understand that this is a fiscal board and our job is to be fiscal watchdogs of our taxpayer dollars. The other thing that needs to be addressed eventually is the toll that this has taken on the board as a whole and against those who were really targeted and harassed for speaking up and asking these questions all these years. Now that there are some people who are coming around, beautiful timing with their upcoming re-elections, I think this is something that does need to be addressed and everyone needs to be aware of it. But this is our job. It can be unpleasant at times, but we took an oath to not be partisan, but to do the right thing on behalf of the taxpayers of DuPage County. This is how it looks. Thank you.
Thank you, Member LaPlante. Moving on to Member Eckhoff.
I'm looking at the circuit clerk's record, what's happening next in this case. And it talks about the DuPage County and the auditor shall file a response to a motion for summary judgment brought by the county clerk by September 15th. Was the auditor made a counter defendant in this?
Yes, the auditor is a party.
And who's representing the auditor?
We are.
Okay, so it's the DuPage County basically is gonna file a response.
Yes, we will.
And then assuming everything goes well for us, does the chief judge have to appoint appellate counsel if they file a notice of appeal?
She does. The clerk has the right to appeal this decision. So
And we're obligated to pay for that too.
at this point, I think the chief judge would, but she's definitely entitled to an appeal.
Was there any discretion in funding that appellate attorney for the county clerk?
We can talk to the chief judge about what she plans to do with that.
I mean, does she have discretion in the statute to say, no, I'm not gonna pay for it?
I'm not sure that she would, but how she handles that will be up to her office.
And then the other thing was, it's too bad Mr. Krajewski left, but affordable housing at the fairgrounds is, I don't think, a good idea. The land doesn't grow on trees and the county's gonna need that land possibly in 100 years for something else. So the people that bring us the county fair is an independent corporation, and I think for years we've only charged them like $100 a month or something. Now it's down to $1 a month. to do that, and they don't get funding from us otherwise, and the amount of funding they've gotten from the state's been cut by 2/3 at least over the last 10 years, which is why they have other activities there. So I just think we need to leave them there, and hopefully that land will be there someday if the county needs it.
All right, thank you. Member Shorzy.
This is still old business, right?
Yeah, still old business.
Just, Member Krajewski brought up the fairgrounds and I appreciate Member Eckhoff's comments. Yeah, we only get $1 from them, but the amount of money they bring in when they're bringing in their Highland games and their archery thing and the money that goes into our community is extensive, hundreds of thousands of dollars, people coming from all over the world sometimes for those Highland games. So just, we need to take that into account if we're going to have this discussion. Thank you.
All right, Member Ozog.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm really pleased about yesterday's decision. I do want to I want to discuss though, early on when I first was on this board, 2019, 2020, 2021, many of us went through some really difficult times, really difficult issues. Many of them were political in nature, attacks to board members in the press, et cetera. So nobody ever said this job is easy. And one of the most important things, or the most important thing we do, is represent our constituents, also known as our taxpayers, because without the taxpayers, we have no budget, we have no functions, we can't do what the county is supposed to do. And what is most disturbing about what's happened here, the board has continued with the clerk, the board has continued to do its job. It's called the chair's budget, and the chair, along with the finance committee, creates this budget, and then the board approves it. And this budget is for the entire county. So everybody has to submit their budget proposals. This is how the money is distributed. This has not changed. The clerk in midstream had decided that she no longer had to be within these constraints, and here we are, $112,000 in, X number of dollars to go. And it's just really unfortunate because I cannot still understand. Apparently the judge yesterday gave us some clarity, and now we can understand better that this is not following the law. And that is our job, is to follow the law now more than ever. So while this can be a difficult job and you have to take pot shots that may not be deserved, et cetera, on the other hand, we can always do our job. And the clerk has really chosen in the last 18 months to not do what is expected. And that's where we're at today. So I will say out loud, and I said it last night on social media, I hope the clerk and her office decides to not appeal this decision and basically decides to get with the program, because what is being asked of them is not extraordinary. It's just reporting the money, that how you're going to spend the money. Nobody's telling you how to spend the money, which seems to be the major argument. So that's what I ask, that we can put this behind us and carry on and do our budget, one of our very most important job, and to do a proper budget, a balanced budget, which we've been able to do for many years now, and remember what our responsibilities are. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Ozog. And last comment, Member Evans, because we have to go.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to go back to the comment about the clerk's budget. Can we get somebody from finance this is for the public, we've already seen it, but can we get somebody from finance to describe what the budget she submitted was? Because it looks more like a laundry list. There's no accounting numbers attached to it. Sorry, I'm calling on you, but just for the sake of anybody who's watching, this is the budget. She's going to say that she submitted a budget, and it really wasn't in the right format. So just a brief description of how many items were there, and it's just basically a bunch of numbers. It looked like a grocery list.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of numbers with a description. There's no account numbers. There's no revenue numbers. There was nothing else that was submitted. So we're trying to weed through that and figure out what the ask is, but there's no descriptions of, like other people put in, they want, this in operating supplies, and they list out, this is what I'm buying in the operating supplies. You describing a grocery list is a perfect example. It's not very helpful.
Yeah, it's not in the right format at all, and it wasn't put into OpenGov, so we're starting from square one. So thank you so much for all of your comments. Is there any new business today? Okay. And without any, can I get a motion to adjourn?